some leftist based in Canada, I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Ice cream so good. Yes, yes, yes. Gang, gang.
Two, check, hello. Hello, 2. What's up? What's up, folks? Dakadoon, thank you. 26 months of tier 1. Thank you so much, Dakadoon, and for all the support you showed the channel. Thank you. Thanks also to Strip Club Breakfast Buffet from before the stream even started. 6 months of tier 1 from Strip Club Breakfast Buffet. Thank you very, very much, Strip Club Breakfast Buffet. Thanks also to Vlad the Victor. Vlad the Victor, who subbed a couple days ago on the weekend. And Vlad the Victor said, hello, I will be at work when you see this. Have a good stream, sir. Thank you, Vlad. Thank you, Vlad, for that. And thank you for the nice compliments on my shirt. This is one of the funky shirts that I got off Instagram. I decided to do a partial rebrand, a little pivot. Last year, pivoted into being a funky shirt guy. Got a bunch of funky shirts from Instagram. This was one of them. Strip club chicken and waffles really start the day off right. I must admit, I've never really been part of the whole strip club lifestyle. I know there's some people that are about that life. I'm sure, Amazing Bird Show, you're probably not. You probably might be exaggerating your experience with this, maybe. I don't know. I know some people are about that, you know? I wish them the best. Not really for me. I wish them the best, but it's not really for me. Many moons ago. Hell yeah. I hear ya. Ate the absolute worst taco of my life on Saturday. Sorry to hear that, Jay. That's not cool. Where is the strip club with the middle-aged chubby girls? I mean, I'm sure they exist. Like, Montreal is I don't really experience this side of the city, but it's one of the cities that's most well known for having a wide variety of those kinds of establishments. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was that exact thing. You can really just go to Richmond, Virginia. That's right. Yeah. Someone was telling me the other day that in Montreal, apparently you can go to nude karaoke. Which I had never heard of this, but apparently that's a thing you can go to as well. Which I don't even know if it's like a sexual thing. I think you just like take your clothes off and do karaoke. And apparently people really enjoy this. I don't know. I've never experienced this personally. Pull out your ding to sing. Or you can put out your ding dong to sing along. Would be even better. Whip out your tits and sing the hits. There you go. There you go. Good stuff. My ding-a-ling. I want you to play with my ding-a-ling. I'm not, like, again, it doesn't sound super appealing to me, but I guess there's people that are really into that. And I wish them all the best. You want to see the rest of my fit? I was mentioning on Blue Sky, I've joined the lime green workout shorts lifestyle. Which I'm also wearing today. Why is that the first thing I hear Rob say when I joined? Because I knew you were just joining. Yeah. I see red. They're not bikinis. They're not bikinis. Those are just. Those are like regular like boxer briefs. Those are just boxer briefs. There's nothing that interesting about them. I got them from Amazon.ca. Just a regular pair of boxer briefs. Anyway, these are not 3 inches. These are 4. They're 4. They're 4 inch. 4-inch inseam. Sure, pal. They're not. Jesus. It's not. It is not a banana hammock. No, it's not. That's not accurate. It does look very thin. Yeah, they are thin. You're gonna make fun of me. The inseam just got 1 inch shorter. If that's how you want to play it. If that's how you want to play it, we can go further. We can go further than this. Zero-inch inseam. That's right. That's where we're going to go next. Honestly, my weekend... So, I had a really nice weekend, honestly. Friday, I just hung out with my son. We've been watching the Apes movies again. Last week, we watched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And then on Friday, we watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes, so kind of out of order, but we've been watching those. And then Saturday, we went to Comic-Con. We went to Montreal Comic-Con. Oh, sorry, Decadune. I hope it wasn't bad anyways. I know it really hits people differently. I hope you're feeling better, though, because I was absolutely miserable when I had COVID. I've talked before about my kid is obsessed with voice acting. He talks about voice acting and voice actors all the time. And he goes through, like on Chromecast, you can go find different movies, and then you like look at the info, and it's got like pictures of the cast members and stuff like that. So he goes into every single movie that he can think of, animated movie, and he goes and looks at the voice actors, especially all the different Batman movies. So he knows every single person that's done a voice acted in a Batman movie that's played like Joker in whatever property, whether it's the animated series, whether it's the various films, the video games, and he knows every single Joker voice actor that's ever acted as Joker. He just goes and memorizes this. Like, he's very intensely fixated on it. Like, it's pretty much all that he wants to talk about. Your son pays way more attention to detail than mine. It's just because he gets fixated on things. And when he's like that, it's all he wants to think about or talk about. He draw pictures of it. You know, it's just the only thing that he's interested in. Is this what he thinks you do for a living? No, he knows I do this, but he wants me to do more like what he sees on YouTube. He wants me to like fill mini pools with slime and like throw things off the balcony into it. I think he would prefer if I did stuff like that. But anyway, at Montreal Comic-Con, so when I checked, like I was thinking about going with him, and when I checked to see who was going to be there, one of the people that was there is John DiMaggio, the voice actor, who voice acted as Joker in Batman Under the Red Hood, which I know because of my son, because he's obsessed with it. But he's also the voice of like Bender on Futurama and Jake the Dog on Adventure Time. And so it's just like that's the thing. I went with my kid. We went to Comic-Con and we met John DiMaggio, and we waited in line, and he took a pic. He got a selfie with John DiMaggio, and he was like, you know, I told him, you know, he's really excited to meet you. He loves voice acting, and he thought that was really cool. He gave him a little DVD. He was selling these DVDs for $20. It's this little like voice acting documentary that he made. He's selling the DVD for $20, but he was like, he brought my son. He was like, here, I got you some. I got something for you. Don't tell anyone I gave you this. And he like gave him the DVD and took a picture with him. He was so excited. And he was like, you voice acted as Joker in Batman Under the Red Hood. And he was like, yeah, that's right, I did. And he was like, it was really nice. You know, it was really cool. I was really happy for him. He was so excited. It was really like one of the things that he thinks about so much. And he was so thrilled to get to meet John DiMaggio, which is so funny for a 7-year-old, you know, to be obsessed with John DiMaggio, the voice actor. Like that's so niche, you know, but he loves it. He absolutely loves it. And he was so excited. And we walked around and saw all the different costumes and all the people doing cosplay and looking at all the toys and old art and comic books and stuff. He thought it was so cool. He had a really good time. Such a funny little convo at school with his classmates, I bet. Well, he starts talking about all this like really like niche stuff. He's talking about all the different voice actors. He's talking about Looney Tunes all the time. And I think some of his friends are just like, okay, like, we're not into this. We're not into this anywhere near to the same extent, but it's the only thing that he wants to talk about. He was so happy though. And fuck, like I've talked about it before, you know, I've talked about it before plenty of times, you know, having a kid is hard. It's hard. It's expensive. You don't get a lot of sleep. It's stressful. Everything that like people that don't have kids say about why they'll never have kids, it's true. It's true. And you don't have free time and you don't sleep and this and this and this. But you know what? Sometimes you bring your little kid to the fucking Comic-Con and you pay to have him meet one of his famous voice actors and you see his face light up and you see how happy he is. And that makes all that shit worth it. That makes all just that one thing. And there's a million of those moments every single year. But just that one thing makes it all totally great to me. You know, I would never trade in that experience for anything. No amount of sleep, no amount of like free time, no saved money on fucking food or diapers or whatever, the toys or whatever it is that you're spending money on, summer camp. There's literally nothing that I would ever trade to give up those kind of moments, you know? So that was fun. That was fun. And then the rest of the weekend I was just like really just like lounging around. It was quite nice actually. Fully dad pilled. I am, yeah, and I've been dad pilled for quite some time, you know? I love it. I love it. And then the rest of the weekend was really nice. I was just like hanging around. I was hanging around in my little shorts. I was hanging around in my little shorts. I randomly got a case of White Claws just because I was in the store and I saw the case and I was like, that would be kind of nice to have in the fridge. It'd be kind of nice to have that case of White Claws just in the fridge. And I went to the Asian grocery and got a bunch of really good stuff. And I was just kind of like hanging around, making really good meals. I made a bunch of really good meals. I was wearing my little shorts and slamming White Claws on both Saturday night and Sunday night. And I was just like, you know what? This is pretty great. I'm enjoying myself right now. I made some really nice meals. Last night, our little one woke up because gunshots caused our neighbor's dog to bark, waking her up, and the three of us spent 30 minutes talking in our bed about how animals talk to each other, and all three of us giggling at the same time. And I'll remember that one night before 98% of my life experiences at Whip's ass. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, what are you going to do with your precious free time? Okay, you didn't have a kid. And listen, if people don't want to have kids or they make that decision not to, totally respect that. I'm not one of these people that's like, no, you must do it. I'm simply talking about my own experiences. I know it's not for everybody. But yeah, it's like for me, I could have had, you know, if I had not ever done that and I could have had all that time to sleep in, I could have had all that time to do whatever, but it's like, what would I have been really doing with that time? You know, would I have really made the most of that? I don't know. I don't think I would have. I don't think I really would have made the most of it. I probably just would have wasted most of that time, personally. But you know, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. I love it, but it's definitely not for everyone. Oh my god, Fart Party 69. I'm about to foster 5 parrots. So I feel like I'm about to have roughly the equivalent of 1 human child. That's such a... I feel like you're setting up that information and just leaving the most interesting part of it just for speculation. which is an interesting approach. That's a lot of parrots. That's a lot of fostering 5 parrots. I don't know what happened to end you up in that position, but that's very interesting. Oh, that was good. Yeah, did make some really nice meals though this weekend. I've really started to unlock some stuff with my cooking ability. I really feel like I've gotten way better at that over the last couple of months. Fart Brady's good is actually 5 parrots and a trench coat. Yeah, that's right. You know what I did? I went to the Asian grocery, like the Korean grocery store near where I live, and I got some bok choy, some Chinese broccoli, and some black oyster mushrooms, which I don't cook with mushrooms that often, but I'm going to start doing it more. And I warmed up my wok with some grapeseed oil and some sesame oil as well. I dumped in some of all those vegetables, or a big handful of each. The bok choy, the Chinese mushrooms, the Chinese broccoli, and the black oyster mushrooms. Gave it a dash of soy sauce, dash of oyster sauce. I feel like there was a dash of something else. I fried it up. No, I think that's it. I fried it up like that for a few minutes. Just in that mixture. Added some water to give it like more like volume, like more sauce, and like steaming the vegetables and like reducing, so it like reduces and the vegetables get steamed and the water all reduces and the mushrooms like absorb all that flavor too. And added some lao gan ma at the end, some chili oil and chili crisp to stir it around and give it that kind of like nutty, spicy, salty flavor as well. And oh my god, this was like, it was no joke, not exaggerating, one of the best things that I've ever eaten. It was like so fucking good. And well, that's right. If you come to this show for recipes, though, Dane, you're going to get the life story, okay? You don't need, that's not the express reason that people are coming here. Anyway, also at the Korean grocery, I also got a big thing of fresh, like homemade kimchi. So I had, on Saturday night, I had those vegetables with the kimchi and some gochujang chicken wings, which I made in the air fryer. Then you add the sauce and the sesame seeds and stuff to that. Topped that off with a bunch of cilantro and green onion. Holy shit, folks. I was like 2 or 3 White Claws deep, and I was eating this and watching Nice Guys, the Shane Black movie with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. And I was just like, this is not so bad. This is not so bad at all. I'm quite enjoying this. Nice Guys is so great. Fuck. I'm torn between whether I want to see more Nice Guys films or whether it's better to just have the one. Gosling is so great in that movie. It's so funny how he just gets his fucking ass kicked in this movie. It's almost like a Looney Tunes character. Like he just gets the shit beat out of him for the entire movie, and it's so funny. Whenever he screams, yeah. There's the beginning when he's trying to like be all slick and he breaks into the office and just slashes his wrists. He just smashes the glass and blood starts spurting out of his wrists. Fuck. It's so funny. And it's on Netflix right now. I really highly recommend that if you haven't seen it. I'm a Shane Black guy, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I like Shane Black's films. I like the unironic 80s cocaine era Shane Black films, and I like the post 2000 Shane Black writer director ironic sort of stuff as well. In fact, we got to do in the Discord. We should do Nice Guys, and we should do Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is like the first of that sort of modern Shane Black neo noir buddy comedy kind of thing. Both of those are so great. Robert Downey Jr. also, they're very similar movies. Robert Downey Jr. also gets the shit beat out of him a lot in that movie, which is very good. Any other movies by Shane that I should check out? That's the only two I think I've heard of. Well, Marty, like Shane Black in the 80s was like the Hollywood like action buddy comedy screenwriter. He wrote Lethal Weapon. He wrote Last Boy Scout. He wrote Long Kiss Goodnight. That's more mid-90s, but that's also very good. He's written a bunch of fucking great action movies. These are the only ones he's directed, though. I know, Lodan, I knew you'd like Long Kiss Goodnight. I fucking knew you'd love Long Kiss Goodnight. Yeah, Lethal Weapon 1 and 2. I'm leaving out a lot. He acted in Predator. He acts in Predator. He's Billy in Predator. No, sorry, not Billy. He's Hawkins. Hawkins in Predator. The guy that says, "Geez, you got a big pussy. Geez, you got a big pussy." That guy. That's Shane Black. And he directed Iron Man 3 as well, which I didn't love, but it was fun. It was interesting for the MCU, you know. So that's what I did Saturday night. Sunday, when I woke up, I made spam and eggs. And I made spam, like cubed spam, and I gave it this like maple soy spicy glaze, which caramelized all over the spam, the crispy, sugary, spicy spam. And I had that with eggs, with more chili crisp and green onion and cilantro. I just got a big thing of cilantro and green onion. I'm just throwing so much cilantro on everything that I've been eating. So I had that for breakfast, and then I kept half of the spam for later, and then later I did the same vegetables again, Chinese broccoli, bok choy, black oyster mushrooms, the exact same way, but did some noodles as well, made some like stir-fry noodles, along with more kimchi and the spam and more green onion and cilantro again. So that's what I had last night. And it was, again, so fucking good. It was 2 like really, really good meals in a row, which I feel very gratifying when you cook something and you eat it and you're like, God damn, this is so good. Like if I got, my benchmark is like, I do the very same cilantro, chili, lime, sesame combos and everything. It's just like it's like a cheat code. It's like a cooking cheat code, you know? That's my benchmark though. When I eat something and I was like, if this came in like one of those restaurant takeout boxes and I was eating this exact food and I would be saying like, oh, this restaurant's great. I want to order from this restaurant again. That's really gratifying feeling. When you make something yourself and you eat it and you're like, man, this is fantastic. It's really gratifying. I really enjoy it. And kind of trying to figure this stuff out has been something to focus on a little bit over the last couple of months. Given me some stuff to work on. Remember like a few weeks ago when this MF didn't know about chili sauce? Well, I knew about chili sauce, Rylan. Like I had like, you know, I'd have sriracha or I had the ongbek or something. I always have different kinds of chili sauces. What I didn't know about though is lao gan ma, which that is inexcusable. You're right. It's inexcusable that I didn't know about lao gan ma. But that has been corrected now. Okay? That has been corrected. Now I just put it in every single meal and it instantly elevates whatever you're making like 2 percentage points at least. At least. You just put some lao gan ma and green onion and cilantro on whatever you're making, a big fistful of it, and it's fucking great. Johnny dialectically. Continuing the gift sub you got from Magyar Guy. My crutch is cumin plus sriracha plus avocado and everything. I mean, that works too. There's a couple of methods, right? That you can just add on to anything. If you want your tofu to be crispy and firm, apparently cornstarch is the key. Oh, that's nice. That's a nice idea. I like that. So I don't know, that's my cooking update. That's what I was cooking this weekend. I was just parading around in my little shorts, cooking good meals, and drinking White Claws. It was quite nice, actually. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Glacé si bon. Oui, oui, oui. Glacé si bon. Oui, oui, oui.
Thank you, King Window, for the 33 months of Tier 1 and for all the support you show in the channel. Thank you, King Window. Hello, Mac at work. What's up? We love people tuning in at work. We love our time theft. This is a pro time theft. Cilantro, so good. Yeah, I gotta monetize that. Yeah, I should start doing TikToks, really. I should start doing TikToks of my meals. Time theft is so good, seriously. Do you want to see the meals? I meticulously cataloged. I meticulously cataloged these meals. I did post some of them on Blue Sky, which you may have seen. Okay, so here was... You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I would never do time theft, for the record.
Old Dutch, we know. We know you're a good boy. We know you're a good boy, Old Dutch. Thank you so much for the 28-month resub at Tier 2. And for all the support you show in the community. Thank you so much, Old Dutch. We know you would never do time theft. Anyway, this was Saturday's meal. You can't really see the vegetables because it's buried under the cilantro and stuff, but those are the gochujang chicken wings, the vegetables there on the side, and the kimchi there. That was really good. Let me find the next one. Don't know if I want to be scrolling through the camera roll at the moment. This is what I had in the morning. So that was that was Saturday night. This was Sunday morning. This is my spam and eggs. I only had one egg left too, and it really, with a second egg, would have really made that a lot better. Or some old rice as well, which I think you need to use in those situations. But I worked with what I had. That was the spam and eggs. Very yummy. Making the spam like that is really, really, really tasty. Back here. There's a picture of me on the balcony in my shorts, and I just don't think you folks are ready for that. I just don't think you're ready for it. I don't think Twitch is ready for me to display some of those images. Anyway, here's the other. This was last night. This was last night's meal. So similar, the same vegetables, kimchi, but I did some noodles in the sauce with the spam there on the side. This was so good. Like, it was just so good. Patreon only. Maybe I should do a page. Like, for me, it's really hard to imagine the idea that there are people that would want to see that kind of content for me. You know, maybe there are a few. I don't know. Maybe I should monetize that. But if there's something that feels a little bit like line crossy about that I'm not totally comfortable with. And you didn't bring it with us for what to eat today. No, I did not. No, I did not. I'll even show you what I had for lunch today. You can barely even see it, but because I ate this before the stream started. But I had these like chicken bites, and I made those with some QP mayo and more lauganma and more cilantro and green onion and more kimchi. I've just been having kimchi with like as a side for pretty much everything. Yeah, I've never really, Rylan, I've never really been able to get it that much, but now that I know like where to get it, I really enjoy it. It's really good on like as a side for any meal like this. Throw it in ramen, like it's really versatile. It's good at 1:30 a.m. just eating it directly from the fucking container in front of the fridge. That's also good as well. It worked. Like there's not a lot of foods that work in all those different contexts, you know? I got to start making my own kimchi. Yeah, I can't imagine it's that hard. There's just so much, like, there's so many great Korean restaurants and, like, the Korean grocery near here that make it, and I feel like I'm not going to do it as good as them, and it's not expensive, you know? I can just go get a big fucking thing of it, like 5 minutes away from here, and it's, like, authentic, and it's really good, you know? I don't need to make it myself. I don't need to mess around with that. But that's all. That was pretty much what I did on the weekend. That's what I did on the weekend. I went to Comic-Con. I made a bunch of really good food and ate it. I watched a bunch of good movies. Slammed some White Claws. It was quite enjoyable, actually. It was quite enjoyable. I hope you had a nice weekend too, folks. Oh, I realized I put hello again, and not. I'm trying to switch it up now. It's so confusing why my sub goal doesn't go up. It drives me crazy. So, yeah, that was what happened on the weekend. This stream, I've really been putting in time being a pro streamer. I have been hitting my 5 days a week. I think pretty much, I haven't missed a lot of days over the last couple of months. I will be gone on Friday. I guess this is an update. Might as well let you guys know now. I will be gone on Friday, and the following week I will be off. So this is the final stream. This is the final week of TRRS ever for like 2 weeks. So no one freak out. No one freak out. I'm coming back. I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to go on a little road trip. And I will be back before you know it. No one panic. No one freak out. So you're going today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, then it's 6 business days off. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Was this approved by HR? I hope so. I hope so. Forever. 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 I will be, of course, expecting the chat to tune in and still subscribe, even whether I'm there or not. Whether I'm there or not, obviously, I'm going to still want you to go in and just like look at the blank screen and still subscribe. Obviously, I would expect that, and you know that. everyone knows that that's what my expectations are, so don't even think I should have to remind folks, but just in case there's any confusion about that, I believe me, I expect the subs to continue to roll in. Just in case anyone wasn't clear on that. Be in chat at noon Eastern. Okay, great. Good. Good to know. But I will try to make the week productive. We'll try to have a good final week of TRRS before it goes away. Before it goes away. Attendance at the Thursday hype train is mandatory. Exactly. It's just like North Korea. You're going to have to get out and push that goddamn hype train yourselves. No, I'm just going to be gone for a little while. I will just be gone for a little while. No one needs to panic. No one needs to panic. Day one, you're just all going to be freaking out. Day one of daycare being closed for a short period of time. You're all going to be losing your minds. You know how to. You can reach me on Discord if you really need me to talk you through something. Okay. Middle-aged daycare. That's right. If you need me to talk you through something, you really, really need it, and you can't wait for 1 week, just DM me, and I will do my very best to talk you through it, okay? If you're part of the Friendship Triangle community, this doesn't go out to the non-subs and the lurkers. Even the base level is iffy, you know? Even the, I will get back to you, but you don't expect like a right away turnaround. Really quick turnaround on that. Going to interrupt your vacation by begging for an invite code again. Marty, are you back on Blue Sky? Because first of all, I saw Marty got banned on Blue Sky, which is like literally the only reason I was even posting there is because my ego and narcissism couldn't tolerate the idea of Marty having more clout than me on this social network. That's literally the only reason. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to put some effort into doing this now. Because I'm a child. Because I'm a childish person. But Marty, are you back now? Or are you hoping to get back? Or because I saw there's all these, you've started some kind of like a Fight Club-esque movement now. Because yeah, I keep seeing Marty PFPs. I'm like, who's this? Who's this imposter? A lot of people felt the need to put my PFP on and change their name in solidarity. I'll be back, filed the appeal. Okay, that's good. That's good. So I guess I'm going to have to stay then, finally. Please give us a spreadsheet of other streamers who sway suggestively. Unfortunately, I'm the only one. This is why I've been able to lock down such a loyal audience. Because I'm the only one that gives people this kind of content. There's no one else that's doing the news, that's ranting about jailing landlords or other capitalists, while also swaying suggestively to like 70s and 80s smooth jazz and albums. It's literally just me. The trans politician lady tried to get me banned on Blue Sky because I told her NATO is why Russia invaded Ukraine. Oh boy. Who was that? No one air drums either. It's fucked up. Exactly. I've totally locked it down. I've totally locked this down. Any clip shows in the can. It would be like it would be good for me to like record something to have one episode that I could air when I was gone. I don't know if I have the time to do that. I don't know if I have the time to record something, some kind of clip show or something to give you hogs, something to look at while I'm not there. Best of Rob Rousseau. Exactly. I know, and everyone's going to tune into that. You shouldn't do that, Rob. Just refer them to the curated shows on demand on YouTube. I could just do a rerun. I could just take one of the old shows and just play it again. Let Mini Rob run the show. Well, he's not going. He's going to be with me though. That's the thing. Hit shuffle on the YouTube playlist and see where it takes us. I mean, it's obviously it's okay, but it's crazy to think about if I had kept every single hour of doing the show. Like, all the YouTube channel basically has everything from like last February on or something like that, whatever it is. But it would be crazy if every single 2,000 hours of TRRS was like available on demand. It's crazy how many hours I've done this. Like, it's truly staggering to me when I think about it. Like, it's fucking crazy. I do have a bunch of highlights and stuff. I guess I could like just take all the highlights and edit it into one big thing. I just air it when I'm not there. That'd be kind of fun. You want some numbers? You've streamed roughly 294 times since then. That is wild. That is fucking wild. Let's see in the analytics. Yeah, I'm really close to getting the Twitch milestone, the Empire Business, which is streaming for 2,000 hours total. I'm at 1.81K. I'm zeroing in on as well. Not quite there. Looks like I'm about 80% of the way there to 250,000 hours watched total on the channel. Crazy stuff. It's hard to believe. Hard to believe. It's a lot of hours. Yes, it is. Here's to another 2,000 hours of this channel. Let's keep going. Me and chat, we're like Thelma and Louise at the end of the film. Let's just keep going. Take my hand. Let's just keep going. I don't totally know, like, you convinced so many of us to vote for more better. That's good. To vote more better. And that's my primary purpose, as you know. So, happy to hear that. There's a bunch of like interesting news stuff we can take a look at today. There's more of the strike wave sort of content we can take a look at. There's all kinds of stuff. I still haven't really like totally decided what direction I want to go with this. I suppose I could have taken some time this morning to figure that out, but I did not. I did not do it. The firmness of how hard I vote has at least doubled. At least. Good. I wanted to talk about the UPS strike as well. I want to talk about this situation in Winnipeg as well, this search the landfill situation, which is so emblematic of like our horrific genocidal history with Indigenous people, and specifically how Indigenous women and girls are both subject to such extreme violence in our society, but also the way that the state and law enforcement refuses to like take whatever steps are necessary to like find out, get to the bottom of these crimes, most likely because they're directly implicated in them. That's something I want to talk about this week, though. That's something I feel like I would like to have a guest for. So I'm going to try and work on that. There's some RFK stuff. I think it's getting harder and harder for people to pretend to like that RFK is some principled anti-imperialist. I think it's becoming harder. People are still doing it somehow, but it's becoming harder and harder to justify this position. The more he like triples down on supporting Israel, his fucking wacky comments about COVID and how COVID was one of these ethnically targeted bioweapons. I mean, it's just fucking, it's getting really more and more difficult for anyone to suggest that there's anything to this guy at all. He's backed by all these fucking right-wing billionaires. The Teal money, the whole Teal team is on board. You can tell, circling the wagons around him, about him. It's all these absolute ghouls that are backing his campaign. These tech billionaires and conservatives and Republicans. And people are still like, no, this guy is really going to abolish the CIA and the FBI and do all this stuff. Like, no, he's not. He's not going to do that shit at all. Yeah, you can say any crazy shit, but not that you'll cut off Israel. Exactly. That's the red line. Do we want to see Kamala Harris explaining AI? I think we do. I think we do want to see Kamala Harris explaining to us what AI is. Let's hear it from Kamala.
Part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process. And I think the first part
This is some
of
guy,
this
Rob
issue,
Russo, some
Nailed it.
leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Left flank vets, hello. Thank you for the raid. Folks, quick, smash that follow button. Quick, I'm trying to see something here. I'm trying to see something. If you could just really quickly hit the follow button. I'm doing a little bit of an experiment here. Just really need to hit that follow button really quick just to see something. I'm just checking something. Steely Dan Halen, thanks for the follow. Great username from Steely Dan Halen. Thank you. It's not quite working out. I think I need a couple more people. If you could just really quickly hit that follow button. I'm just trying to check one thing. I'm surprised that person is new here. Seriously, yeah. I don't follow Canadians. It didn't work out the last time. Okay, well, I mean, I can't argue with that, really. Who's this discount Pedro Pascal? It's crazy how many people say that. And listen, when multiple people compare me to a handsome Hollywood actor, even using kind of words like discount, which I don't know, it's a little hurtful, but okay. But I feel like at this point, I can claim to look like Pedro Pascal, and a number of people have made this comparison. That's an A-list Hollywood actor. So I think when people say that about me, they're saying like, well, maybe you couldn't be A-list if I'm discount, but that's B-list. I would be on the B list. You know, I would take that. Anyway, folks, what do you think about this? Left flank vets Raiders. What do you think about this? AI. It's the new hot button issue. I wasn't sure exactly like what it is or what it's about. That's why I watched this little explainer video with Kamala Harris. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Let's learn about this magnificent new technology together.
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's
I thought it was 3 letters, so I was confused by that at first.
And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process. And I think the first...
Good. What does it suggest we send all the machines to charter schools? Yes, that's right. That's how they're going to learn properly. With this radical new transformative way of going about carrying on with the education system. It is crazy that any defense attorney ever lost her. Although I imagine like when she was doing her job, just to give her the benefit of the doubt, she was actually like doing research in that stuff. And now she's just kind of like, I've made it. I don't need to learn about anything else ever again. And if anyone asks me to explain something, I'm just going to stall and kind of make shit up as I go along. My daughter had a hard time in a local charter school. It's like they weren't even trying to teach. It's amazing to think about that whole charter school push from like 10 years ago. They made that big documentary, I think, Waiting for Superman, which was basically a way to like emotionally manipulate people into supporting charter schools. I think correct me if I'm wrong, in New Orleans now, and this was like, especially after the hurricane and there was like shock therapy in New Orleans. I don't think is there one public school in New Orleans anymore? It's all charter schools now. And you realize this whole big propaganda push was just a way to completely undermine the idea of public education and just completely just come in and just wipe out what's left of the public education system. They probably had sweet-ass margins, though. I'm sure they did. Yeah, very juicy margins. Thanks, Obama. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, all our great liberals are backing that charter shit. Exactly. It was all the like liberals taking like tech money and billionaire money to support this thing, which they tried to talk about as some revolutionary transformative thing, but was really just a way to completely undermine the idea of public education. They advertised they were funded by the Bill Gates Foundation. Yeah. Total fucking scam. Yeah, for sure. It was Cory Booker's big issue. Yeah, absolutely. This is like the modern progressives like within the neoliberal establishment back in this. School choice. That's right. There we go. Vallis fucked up Philly schools so bad we had Philly congressmen flying out to Chicago to campaign against him. Yeah, big scam. Big scam. How was the Left Flank Vet stream today? I hope it was good, and I appreciate the raid. And I will just tell you folks, for our new viewers, and if anyone else wants to subscribe or give subs to the show to try and bring in some new community members, would it convince you to subscribe to TRRS if I showed you that I was wearing this? What do you think about that? What do you think about that, folks? Is that worth a measly little $5? A measly little Prime sub? That doesn't cost you anything. That's completely free. You're already paying for Amazon Prime. You're telling me that's not worth a measly $5 or a measly free of charge Amazon Prime subscription?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, 2023, more like 1984, for the gifted sub. Very much appreciated. Thank you. I stole those shorts from a 1960s NBA player. I've actually been getting my shorts from a website called the Gymshark. Not that I go to the fucking gym. I just buy the shorts. I got a couple of 5-inch inseams last summer, and then this year I was like, you know what, we can go further. We can go further with this. Why stop at 5? Why do we need to stop at 5-inch inseam? What's this artificial barrier into our short length? What is with that? What is up with that? This is what I was asking myself. Don't let them control you, okay? Rom thought era. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. The John Stockton of streaming. Not when it comes to the wacky right-wing conspiracy theories, though. That's where I draw the line. I just wear the little shorts and I set a really tough screen when hooping. You bringing those shorts on the road trip? Obviously. I did see that guy on the TikTok, the samurai sword guy. I did see that. Always love finding a new guy. That's always fun. Did you see he gave his dog armor? I did see that as well. Yeah, he's got samurai armor for the dog as well. Can you touch your toes in those shorts? I'm not sure. I'm certainly not going to try on camera. I'll tell you that much. I'm not going to attempt to do that on camera. That would not be a good idea for anybody. And I'm not flexible. I am not flexible at all. Read the Left Flank Vet stream. A lot of people are scared to say it. It really suffered from a lack of Canadian content. Okay, thank you for that contribution, Ice Tray. Thank you for being brave and speaking up when no one else wanted to. Do you consider yourself a no stripes anarchist? No, I do not. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but no. Who's Morb? Who the fuck is Morb? Oh boy, this is confusing.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Hi Rob Ann's chat.
Thank you, Sikalufakis. 19 months of Prime. Thank you. Oh, Marcus is Morbin. I thought Marcus was just Marcus. Sorry, we're actually friends, so we're on like a first name basis, so I don't go with these whole like internet nicknames with Marcus because we're actually close friends, so... Thank you, Sikalufakis, for the 19 months of Prime. Very much appreciated. Rob, please do me a favor. My wife wants to drive to Montreal. I don't know what to do there. Like, there's some cruise up from some river from Montreal to Quebec City, and then some church basilica, and then the city itself and markets. Is that enough for 3 days? Also, should I Airbnb or hotel? Thank you, Mr. Tour Guide. You don't have to answer. Just reminded me of planning this trip. Only if Sam, if you want to like DM me about this, I can give you some suggestions, because Montreal really is a fantastic city, all kinds of really great food and cool shit to do, so I'd be more than happy to give you some tips. Were you on a first name basis with Fat Pussy? Yeah, but that was more than that, okay? You know, sometimes people, their nickname becomes their personality, and Fat Pussy was one of those cases. I have anxiety and wifey is up my whatever. Well, you're going to have a fantastic time, Sam. You're going to have a fantastic time. I promise you that. My relationship with Fat Pussy was so much more than that. It transcended nicknames, okay? Fat Pussy is their legal name. And we ended up changing it. Oh boy. What a day so far. What a day so far, folks. Before I do anything, I'm just going to email Jordan, actually, to find out what's going on tonight. Just doing some scrolling. Did you folks see this tweet? I guess like I did a tweet about it that ended up, it became kind of a minor hit here on Twitter. This tweet by Andrew Tate. And by the way, now that I see these like weird blue check guys getting all these arbitrary payouts from Twitter, I'm trying not to quote tweet them. Andrew Tate says, "Would you rather?" And chat, this is an open question, okay? Open question to the chat. Would you rather an entire month traveling the world, all expenses paid, hotels, flights, restaurants, etc., or 1 month on house arrest with the war room soldiers, sparring, training, fighting the Matrix with these fine folks? He doesn't get to choose because he just has automatically number 2. I would personally go with the first one. I would personally go with that. I don't know how folks feel about that, if that's controversial. You know, if it is, I'm sorry. I would go with the travel and the all expenses paid and the restaurants and that stuff rather than the other second thing. He just wants an old-fashioned orgy, you know, and if he does, like, you know, fucking go for it. But I think you should also be honest and upfront about that. An orgy is not really a good, like, if you show up to something and you don't think it's an orgy and then you find out later that it is, I mean, that's uncomfortable for everyone. I think if you want to have an orgy, you should be open and honest and upfront about that from moment one. I would go to the war room just to experience the pure brain rot face to face. I would go to the war room and like with the Ethan Hawke outfit from that movie. They give him the old Ethan Hawke special. I'm trying to parlay that first option into being a mercenary outfit for a targeted drone strike. It's two birds with one stone. I want to know about the guy in the kitchen. Well, I guess I assumed that was like a chef kind of guy. I would do a lot of things in Grand Theft Auto. I mean, the fucking annoying thing about Andrew Tate, I mean, there's many things that are annoying about him, but just like the idea of like, oh, we're fighting the Matrix. I'm being persecuted. When all the accusations from Andrew Tate just come from things that he's openly not only admitted to, but bragged about doing. He's bragged about doing it. He's like, yeah, I got these women to come and be part of I trafficked them to Romania because the laws are so lax, and I got them to do like I basically brainwashed them into doing like cam girl work so I could have a big cam girl enterprise. And I made lots of money from it. Like he's openly talked about it. You know, you're not being persecuted. You've openly bragged about trafficking people to Romania to act as sex workers for your own material benefit. It's kind of an open and shut case. In fact, if you're being accused of sex trafficking in Romania, that's a good sign that you really fucked up. Because I actually do think the laws are pretty lax about that. You actually push them to a point where they're like, okay, we have to do something, I guess. Like normally we wouldn't. Normally we would let this slide. We would just take our bribes or whatever it is. But you've bragged about this so much on tape that we literally have to fucking arrest you now. Like you have to have really done some sex trafficking in Romania to get that kind of consequences, you know? You can't just do minor sex trafficking and just kind of walk away from it. You got to really do the heavy hitting stuff. I'm not a huge Matrix fan. I don't even understand the supposed parallels. Well, no right-winger has ever understood the parallels, considering it's a story about like being trans, and it's basically a story about being trans to escape the shackles of capitalism. That's basically what taking the red pill is. And all these motherfuckers have gotten the completely opposite understanding of it. Cancel culture has come from my human trafficking ring. Exactly. You can't even have a human trafficking ring in Romania with wokeness how it is nowadays. Hello, Carrier Wave. What's up? The freaking wokes. Because of woke. You can't even do human trafficking in Romania anymore because of woke. I went woke and my Romanian sex farm dried up. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The traditional family values of human trafficking have gone to shit. That's the funny thing about like the way that like the right has tried to embrace him, like Tucker Carlson is interviewing and stuff, and how the right simultaneously is like, we're protecting children, we're promoting traditional family values, and now here's this interview with notorious sex trafficking rapist Andrew Tate and cam girl enterprise boss to tell us all about traditional family values and how flying a rainbow flag really upsets that. It's like, yeah, obsessed with imaginary pedos, fine with real ones. Yeah, considering all the fucking youth pastors and Republican conservative politicians and cops that are engaged in that actual thing. That's a whole modern phenomenon as well, right? That's in QAnon was a big part in like speeding this up. But this whole idea of like human trafficking and how people have this incredibly like distorted idea now that human trafficking is when your like kid gets picked up in the middle of their extremely safe and boring gated community by some stranger, and then and ignoring the vast majority of actual human trafficking cases, which involve like friends and family members, the church, the cops, and all this stuff, and has created this totally imaginary, paranoid, delusional world where like people are getting, oh, I found a fucking piece of dust on my car, that means I'm at the mall at fucking like, you know, Bed Bath and Beyond, that means I'm being marked for, I'm going to be kidnapped from my home and trafficked. It's this total like fantasy world delusion that they've created while ignoring the actual vast majority of the ways that this kind of thing actually happens. Yeah, it's like white suburban moms on Facebook sharing human trafficking memes, like they're telling spooky campfire stories. There's all these TikToks as well. Someone's like in a parking lot and there's like a creepy looking guy walking like 2 blocks away. And they just have this grainy footage. This man was following me, and they have creepy these creepy synth sounds behind it to make it seem like, and it's just like some guy. It's just like some guy walking around. You know, that's a huge genre on TikTok, that kind of thing. They're looking for external enemies. They're at the top of the food chains, have to make up silly ghost stories to feel something. Exactly. It's kind of an offshoot of their sort of like whole persecution, pathological persecution complex. What was the site they said was shipping gifts around? Wasn't it like not Waystar? That's fucking Succession. Wayfair. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Seriously. And again, how many of these people, Royco, Waystar, that's right, they're trafficking kids. They probably were. They were up to some sicko shit as well. The real trafficking threat is in the white suburbs, is the city transportation infrastructure designed to keep poor and black people out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, or just like the church, like the amount of people that are like religious, that are not only religious but Catholic, and have been freaking out about like human trafficking or trans people grooming their kids. Fucking Catholics, of all people. Like that was a surreal moment. What was the baseball team? Was it the Padres or someone that was doing like an LGBTQIA plus night, and they had this like drag group that had criticized Catholicism before, and you had all these Catholics showing up to the Dodgers. You had Catholics showing up to protest the Dodgers bringing on a drag group that had an anti-Catholic bias and was grooming kids. And it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. You know? The Dodglers. Sounds like a Dr. Zeus character. The Padres are big in military shit. They do swear-in ceremonies before the games. Well, now each team has to pick a side in the culture war. You can't be equal. You can't be even. You can't sit on the fence with the culture war stuff. You gotta support the troops, or you gotta support the woke, and that's all. You can only do one. Can you imagine Catholics showing up to show how those previous criticisms of them were wrong or no longer applied? They had a choice in how they showed up. Exactly. We're so fucking offended by you framing Catholicism as being a dangerous cult.
Russo, some leftist based in Canada.
That we're going to show up and threaten to murder everybody.
Individual, and I found this.
Larry, thank you for the raid. Hello, Larry. Hello, Larry. Is this your homework, Larry? Dude, please. Is this your homework, Larry? Larry? This is what happens, Larry. Thanks again for the raid, Larry. Juche forever. I was at a Jays game last month, and between innings, they recognized a Canadian Armed Forces member who was just back from training troops in Ukraine. I thought they were not supposed to talk about that. I thought we weren't going over there. It gets very confusing. No, of course, this is not a NATO war. It's not a NATO proxy war. There's no troops involved. Our troops are going there and handing the guns to the proxies so they can go shoot the guns. They're not going to shoot the guns themselves. You see, it's a big difference. Big difference. We were reading a classic, Wage, Labor, and Capital. Larry, is this your homework, Larry? Is this your homework, Larry? Is this your homework, Larry? Dude, please. Is this your homework, Larry? Even worse because they don't have the guts to face the Russians off. I mean, this is the thing that I don't really get from some of these like Ukrainian nationalists that do want NATO to help them. Like, aren't they like insulted by this? Like, they're literally being thrown into this fucking catastrophic situation. And NATO was like, yeah, we're going to help you. We're going to help you. We'll give you whatever you need. Just go and throw your bodies up against this wave of Russians. Just keep throwing yourselves into this death machine. We're going to be right behind you. And they're just there being like, unfortunately, we can't really get involved. Sorry. We can do everything. We can give you all the weapons to do it. But yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to step up on this one. Sorry to say. It's like, no wonder they're starting to get frustrated. No wonder Zelensky's starting to get frustrated. I would be frustrated as well. Personally, I would not have gotten involved in the situation in the first place. But our hands are tied. Yeah, we're just sending cluster bombs because we just ran out of everything. This should help. It's really going to put you over the line here. Personally, I don't trust imperialism because I listened to Che Guevara's very specific instructions. That's why we always watch that clip of Che at the UN. You know, that's always stuck with me. Never trust the imperialists, not even for a moment. Niente. Nada. It's so simple. That's what I love about Che, and it's what I love about that speech. He left us very simple directions. It's very easy to follow this. Like, as much as people have struggled with this, it's very easy to follow this. That means you don't trust them 99% of the time, or 90% of the time, or 85% of the time, or 99.9995% of the time. Never. Zero. It's easy. NATO imperialist. When you see NATO doing something, you're against it because you're anti-imperialist. Boom. Bing, bang, boom. Easy. How about 5% of the time? Is there a percentage of the time we can trust them? No. No, there isn't. 0%. How hard is this? Why are we still fucking this up? Dude, are you fucking this up? Germany foreign minister says the war will continue until they win. No interest in negotiations. I mean, they've all said too. They've been like, oh yeah, maybe Ukraine can join NATO when the war's over. So what incentive is there for anyone to end the war now? You know? And now Russia's going on an offensive itself. Like, Russia is doing its own offensive now. Like, what motivation do they have to negotiate? Russia's been offering to negotiate for a long time now. Before the invasion started, during the invasion. And what's been the answer each time? Fuck you. Fuck you. No negotiation. Only war. No negotiation. Only war. And now that it's like a total stalemate, or Ukraine has just completely exhausted all these resources, and there's literally nothing that they can do, now they're like, okay, maybe we'll think about it now. Maybe we'll think about a negotiation now. And from Russia's perspective, I can kind of understand them being like, nah, I don't think so. You know? Which sucks, but it's like, perhaps that path should have been taken 5 or 6 opportunities ago. You know? Maybe that would have been a better strategy, as I and others have been advocating for. But fuck me, though, right? Can we watch suburban trafficking TikToks? I don't know if we can. I don't know. Oh man, that's disturbing, Carrier. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. That clip with Melanie Jolie when she can't answer what it means for the war to be over. Thanks. That half-wit for making Canada a military target. Exactly, and you talk about like us going over there to train. We were training.
Guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned
collecting all the raids today.
And I found this.
I'm collecting all the raids today like fucking Thanos. Dan Simpson, hello. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for the raid. I hope the stream was good. I hope it was a good one. I need some advice with cheesy bulldog. Do you go full sauce? I go full sauce, personally, Old Dutch. It's very spicy. It's very, very spicy. It's the upper limit of what I can handle spice-wise, but I do go for the full packet. And, you know, you want to throw in some extra cheese on there. I don't know if you got some mozzarella or some kind of, like, melty cheese. When you do the noodles, throw in some more shredded mozzarella on top there and melt that as well. The bulldog is not playing around. No, it's not. It's not. One of these days, I'm going to try the 3 times spicy bulldog, which is probably extremely unpleasant. It's probably genuinely unpleasant. I should try it one time just for the sake of like entertaining people. I don't see an end game for Russia. They lose as soon as they stop fighting. Well, yeah, it seems to be that way. And this, like we had talked about with that NATO summit, like that's what they were saying. Oh yeah, once the war is over, then we'll talk about Ukraine being in NATO. And if that Ukraine being in NATO is a red line for Russia, they're like, well, I guess they'll just continue the war then. At the very least, it's probably going to turn into some kind of like Korea-like demilitarized zone. The carbonara flavor and the black bean flavors are awesome. I haven't had the black bean. I have the curry, though. The curry is the spicy chicken curry flavor is fucking good, too. You got to try that bulldog, Rylan. It's really good. Really good. We're going back and forth between Buldak commentary and Ukraine, as we tend to do on this program. Mearsheimer's been saying it'll be a forever war, or at best a frozen conflict a la Korea. Yeah, it certainly seems to be that way. And that's the funny thing about Mearsheimer as a figure, too, is because he was like outlining years ago exactly where this was going, and no one listened. And then when the thing that he explicitly said was going to happen happened, they blamed him for being like a Putin propagandist or whatever. And now he's just outlining exactly how it's going to end, and people still don't want to fucking listen. And like we've talked about before with Mearsheimer, is a complicated figure, not someone we agree with on every single thing, but has just been proven correct about this at every step of the way. You know, you just can't get around that. You can't get around that basic fact. It's time to hate him for being correct. Exactly. So then Carrier Waves a few minutes ago says Wagner PMC is redeployed to Belarus. It seems right next to Kiev. That would be a fucking scary escalation if what you're implying was true. It'd make it kind of interesting, the whole Wagner thing as well, of whether that was some kind of psyop or feint. You know, we were wondering about that. That would actually be an interesting explanation for that. Although that would be very terrifying if that's what was on the horizon here. Yeah, fog of war and all that. Yeah, exactly. Who knows? Who knows? We will cover this stuff as it happens. I have a bad experience with making explicit predictions about this, which you can back up to my coverage from like February 21st, 2022. And I was like, there's not going to be an invasion of Ukraine, folks. Come on. And then the very next day I was like, I see. You did it. You crazy son of a bitch. You did it. So I've pulled back on the explicit prediction game, I think. So that just happened. Yeah. The invasion is behind me, isn't it? You know what, though? As I've said before, even regardless of that, and people have tried to hold that over my head or try to score some points on me for the fact that I was wrong about that, I would still hold my coverage of this conflict up to anybody that's been talking about this before and after. I really would. Let's take a look at whether we can, like, I don't know, I trust Paul Massaro. That guy knows what's going on. The real invasion is the human traffickers in our shopping malls. You're fixated on this, huh? Ephemeral friends, you really want to explore this rabbit hole. I get it. Who goes to the mall anymore? The sex traffickers do. They all go there. You know what? I think one thing to take a look at that I saved here is we can look at this clip with Cornel West, which of course Aaron Rupar clipped this segment of Cornel West on CNN because he's like this hall monitor ass, like quote unquote journalist. Because we've talked a little bit about how Cornel West, who's just been saying like objectively true things about this and has taken a stance on like war and NATO and Russia, Ukraine, or whatever, that's just basically a total bog standard, uncontroversial left-wing view of this. And you have people just like shitting their fucking pants over it and freaking out that he's refusing to like toe the line on this stuff. And I think there was a clip of this on CNN. That we can and should take a look at. Before I do, I'm just going to get a little beverage. Just going to get a little beverage, folks, okay? Don't go anywhere. Let me get my beverage. I'll be right back. We'll take a look at this clip, and we can talk about more Russia and Ukraine stuff, or whatever it is. Don't go anywhere. Is it hot over there? You look like it may be hot. It is quite hot. It's 28 degrees today. So it's not super hot. It's not like unbearable or uncomfortable. It's definitely warm, and I do not have AC, so I do have my fan blowing on me right now. But it's not. There's been much worse days so far this year, even still. Kind of wild that the entire mall economy is just held up by sex traffickers. It's the only thing holding the thing together. The only reason there's malls anymore because all these sex traffickers are just wandering around buying knickknacks. It does get cool at night, yeah. And anyway, I'm dressed like this, so I'm good. I'll be right back. Love the Lenin bust. Me too. It's like an official like USSR heirloom. Still not sold on the short shorts, Plunger Man. You got to join the lifestyle. Join the lifestyle. They should be shorter, if anything. Thank you, Bolt Thrower. Thank you. Great fit, 10 out of 10. Thank you, Jack Squatch. Appreciate that. I still have no idea what the power balance is in Ukraine right now. In the Western news I'm allowed to access here can only speak about Russian soldiers being poorly equipped on the brink of mutiny and Putin being one step away from being couped. Yeah. That's the like fantasy booked version that we've been getting in Western media. Any day now it's going to happen. They're just going to give up in frustration. You weren't kidding about the heat. Bulldog kicking my ass right now. I told you all, Dutch. I told you. It's the upper limit. It's the upper limit of what's good. It's still really good, though. You got to power through it. Okay? Power through it. I feel like any spicier would be too much for me. I love to try to force down my lunch, but it's good though. At the same time, it's very tasty. It's delicious. Chin chin, folks. I have to throw away half the packet for the 3 times spicy chicken one. I just want to do that just as an experiment. That I know I'm not going to enjoy in any way. I want to do it just as an entertaining thing so people can laugh at me. Can we talk about how Polar Seltzer now comes in a case of 8 instead of 12, but costs the same price? That sounds like bullshit to me. That sounds like a massive amount of bullshit to me. I get these Bublés, which do still come in a pack of 12. We don't get the Polar ones here. We don't get the Polar Seltzers. Because of wokeness. because of Bidenomics. The level of media complicity in Ukrainian propaganda is so interesting in its novelty. Like, it pretends it's not the same jingoistic war propaganda as Iraq, but it achieves the same ends by exploiting either some vague assertion of standing on the side of human rights and resistance to oppression, or the indoctrination they have that they're fighting an information war against this insanely powerful disinformatia octopus as well. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, crad babes. I mean, the whole thing about disinformation in and of itself, and the way that's been like weaponized and wielded, and how disinformation now, there's this whole like disinformation industry to find out what the objective truth is. And it turns out the objective truth is just like anything that supports and upholds our establishment and our status quo, that's the truth. And anything that remotely paints one of our official enemy countries in a remotely positive or sympathetic light, that's disinformation. That's how that works. Anything that remotely challenges the specific narrative about geopolitics, that's misinformation or disinformation. The way Ukraine's getting absolutely hollowed out by international capital while the war is going on. I mean, sometimes I feel a little crazy that I just keep saying the same things over and over again. I don't know if people in the chat get tired of hearing it. I guess there's people that are watching that aren't part of the community or lurkers or whatever, that I always feel the need to reiterate the same points over and over and over again. I hope it's not too tiring. But I think that's an interesting point when you talk about this idea of sovereignty, you know? And people have really convinced themselves that like supporting Ukraine, supporting the endless arming of Ukrainians and the endless billions of dollars of arms transfers to Ukraine is supporting sovereignty and democracy. Like, just that is such a giveaway in and of itself that people actually believe that. Like, the idea that Ukraine's going to be, or was previously, or is going to be a sovereign and democratic country is just false. It is not going to be sovereign. It's not going to be democratic at all. It's not a choice between being occupied by Russian imperialism or being free and sovereign and democratic. It's not this binary option. It's already not sovereign or democratic. Just like Taiwan, we're going to support still the arming of Taiwan and the escalation of tensions in the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea because we support Taiwanese democracy and Taiwanese sovereignty. No, we do not. No, we do not. And if you think that anyone talking about that actually believes in any of these things, you're an idiot and a child. And you've been completely duped and propagandized too. And you should be embarrassed if you believe that. If you believe that any one of our leaders cares about anyone's fucking sovereignty, or that they want places like Ukraine or Taiwan to be sovereign and independent. No, they want them to be vassal states of Western capital and Western imperialism. That's what they want. Believing imperialists, it could not be me. It could not be me, personally. Yeah, and then when they talk about Iraq as well, it's like, well, they got Iraq wrong, but this time they're right. It's like, Jesus Christ. Come on. Come on, folks. According to Zelensky and the top-cited consultant in Washington, Ukraine will follow the Israel model. Yeah, and all the elect public officials in Ukraine are all learning English now, so they can be prepared to properly report to their like Western masters, the Western capitalists and imperialists that are going to own and fucking control their country. They're all getting prepped to be able to report to them like good little boys and girls. Let's see. I actually haven't watched this clip yet. Let's see it.
Know how empires behave, Sister Caitlin. If Russia had missiles in Mexico and Canada, the United States government would probably blow them to smithereens because that's how empires behave. We had the same challenge in Cuba in 1962. So what we end up with a criminal invasion. And I know some of my left-wing comrades who know, oh, it's an invasion. Criminal invasion, but a criminal invasion provoked by the expansion of NATO, which is an instrument of U.S. global power.
And like, okay, so as I was saying, folks, this is not some big radical opinion. This is like a bog standard. This should be like a bog standard progressive idea. The invasion is bad. The invasion is criminal, and the invasion was provoked by NATO. So both sides deserve blame. You know, that's this like right down the middle, banal, boring, progressive analysis of like NATO's role. The idea that this has become confusing to people or that it's become like controversial or radical to suggest this is insane. And you have all these like progressives in the Democratic Party or the Canadian government just total lockstep voting for total unquestioning support of NATO and just this nonstop flow of arms to Ukraine. What he's saying here is not crazy or radical in any way. Like, this is literally just like, it's boring progressivism. But things have gotten so completely wacky with this discourse that now this is what gets passed as like dangerous Putin propaganda, just this basic idea, which should just be a total banal, common sense left-wing idea. That NATO is an arm of Western imperialism, that they helped provoke the invasion. But this has become like dangerous and radical to suggest this.
And we have to.
She can't even take it. She doesn't even understand what's going on.
When we look at China, when we look at Russia, when we look at Ethiopia, when we look at Haiti, when we look at Brazil, we got to see precious human beings rather than these competitive nation states that are trying to devour more profits, more land, and more territory. Can we conceive of such a world? Can we pursue such a world? I think we have to. What's at stake? The destruction of the species, the destruction of the planet, the destruction of democracies as we know it.
But
so we're cutting against the grain, but always with a smile.
Practically speaking, what would you accept in Ukraine? Like what? I mean, Trump claims he could fix it in 24 hours. What would that look like for you?
Oh, what I would do, I would bring in the Chinese, the Turks, the African rulers. I would sit down with the Ukrainian leaders and say, we must stop this war, stop these war crimes, the cluster bombs on a variety of different parties, and make sure that we begin a diplomatic process for a just peace. And that just peace is going to have some serious concessions across the board. Russian troops have to leave. There's going to
You've
be
just
debate
become an
over
elite
the
member
territory.
of the Friendship
There's going to be some
Triangle.
kind of concessions.
This is so outrageous. Oh my goodness. Sherney Pow. My goodness, Sherney Pow. Thank you very, very much for the 5 gifted subs. Very kind of you. Thank you. Heck yeah. Thank you for that. Can you play this short clip really quick? It's important. What the fuck? Let me just get through the rest of this clip.
Over the territory, but stop the killing. Why? Because the Ukrainian brothers and sisters are precious and they are bearing so much of the suffering with this proxy war between the American empire and the Russian Federation. So there's responsibility and blame across the board, but the American empire does bear a significant responsibility here, even though it's not the sole or exclusive responsibility, and it's in no way a pro-Putin. People say, oh, you must.
Yeah, she doesn't know how to handle this.
Know how empires behave.
So, Sherney Powell, listen, you gifted 5 subs. This is what Shirley Power really wanted us to take a look at. This image here.
All my friends are dead. All my friends are dead. Got kicked in the head. All my friends are dead. All my friends are dead. All my friends are dead. They got smacked in the head. All my friends are dead.
So there you go, Shirley Pow. Thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. There you go. Yes, it's Elon Musk as Bam Margera. That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. Looking into it. Looking into this. Elon Musk, but he's Bam Margera. Okay, we can go back to this. Yeah, her face is just like... She doesn't know how to handle this information. Thanks again, Shirley Pow. Concerning, yes. And listen, if anyone else wants to subscribe to TRRS, please, if you can. Every little sub helps a whole lot. Look at this fit I got on today. Isn't that something that you want to support? We're at 13 out of 35 subs. Good number of viewers today. If you can, folks, please subscribe to TRRS. $5 per month, totally free of charge with an Amazon Prime account, which you can very easily and cheaply and freely, in fact, convert to a Twitch Prime sub. Gift subs, like Shirley Pow just did, rocket right up to the elite tier of the Friendship Triangle system. It's the only way that, folks, that this show is able to stay on the air is through your extremely generous support each and every day. So if you enjoy TRRS, if you enjoy the content that I create here on Twitch, if you just have some kind of parasocial relationship with me and you want to take that to the next level, please subscribe to TRRS. And then it won't be parasocial anymore, it will be real. It'll be real. Our friendship, our relationship, okay? It's real to me, damn it. She just hates him for being a spoiler, nothing else going on in her head. Well, and it's amazing how, like, lobotomized people are, where it's just like, that's the only thing that they can understand. Like, we looked at that Keith Olbermann tweet the other day when
you can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
When Cornel West was saying something equally like banal and uncontroversial about this, and zero effort to understand like what he's saying or to argue with it or anything. It's just like, fuck you. You're in the Green Party. It's bad for the Democrats. That's all. That's all they think about. That's all these people were capable of. All these people were capable of thinking of. Rob and I are besties. He dropped me off at the airport and then picked me up when I landed at the other airport. And I'm only a tier 1 sub. Thank you, Sasha. It was my pleasure to do that. Actually, I like driving over those long distances. So it was no problem at all to both drop you off and pick you up after your cross-country flight. It was my pleasure. And thank you, Ms. Suplex, for the 5 months of Prime. Thank you for that. Ms. That's a good name. Suplex. I like that. Good. I'm coming to Montreal in September. Can I get a ride, Rob? We'll have to put you in touch with my people about that, and we'll schedule that. But that's maybe I can do that. It is possible.
The size of the account.
Thanks again, Rob. You're welcome, Sasha. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Yeah, don't dare question the unprovoked narrative. Well, that's what I mean. That's what we've been talking about the whole last 2 years. The way that this has been so relentlessly put into people's heads, that any deviation of that is just so upsetting for them. The West has already an 8% approval rating despite the media suppression. This is actually a conversation that came up in the Discord the other day, which I thought was really interesting as well. When we can talk about having a more sort of diplomatic or nuanced understanding of this, and whether that can make any impact to someone that gets all their news from the Western media propaganda fire hose. I think that's been an interesting thing for me as well. When you talk about is it a proxy war or not, the idea that like that's if you live in the West, in Canada or the US or Germany or France or whatever, and you're plugged into the media there, that's your understanding of it. But if you look at literally anyone outside of that white Western formerly or currently colonialist countries, Canada, America, Western Europe, Australia, literally everyone outside of that special little club knows full well that it is a proxy war. They know full well that NATO is not innocent and blameless in all this. That's the amazing thing as well too. Like when you see the approval and like the people that have like recognized these things, as you can go on with any other big geopolitical issue, whether it's like China's treatment of religious minorities or support for Israel and Palestine, it's like you see the same map every single time. You see the same map every single time. And this is when, and that's what I tell myself. If you find yourself on the bad side of that map, you have to reevaluate what you've been thinking about this, really easy. When you realize that your opinion totally lines up with the interests of the people in these Western countries, the golden billion, nowhere near the majority of people in the world, all these powerful Western countries. And if you find on any one of these issues that your stance falls directly in line with that, it's time to start rethinking some of these things and reevaluating it and reexamining it. Isn't the U.S. now sending actual U.S. troops to Ukraine? It seems like a bit of a proxy war-ish thing to do. Well, that's always been, I think, the dirty secret of this thing, right? Is that you've had all along in the Western, there was big promotion of it, the Foreign Legion, all these former troops and intelligence guys going to volunteer in the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. Really? And now you have U.S. troops, like Carrier Wave was saying, there was they did a shout out at the Blue Jays game the other day for a Canadian troop they just said was there training Ukrainians. And it's like, we've had people there we had them before, we had them during, we still have them there now. Oh yeah, I'm sure they're just the advisors. Who was, all the advisors, it was the exact same way that Vietnam turned into a massive disastrous conflict as well, right? It starts with just a bunch of advisors. And then before too long, it escalates and escalates and escalates into, oh, look, now we got an actual hot war on our hands with two major global powers. Wouldn't you know? I recently saw some pro-Ukrainian activists who were wondering why the global south isn't on board with the West propaganda and war. And they were saying shit like, it's just ignorance. They don't know about it, so we need to propagandize there more. That's right. They just don't know enough about it. Like people in the global south don't understand that NATO is not this benign pro-democracy, anti-imperialist fighting force. Yeah, they know all too well about the West's commitment to human rights and democracy and sovereignty. If you're in Latin America or in Africa or the Middle East or Korea or China or wherever. They know all about the West's commitment to these enlightened values of human rights and freedom and democracy. It's like when you say it out loud, it just sounds so ridiculous, right? It sounds like a completely farcical, fairy tale. It's amazing that anyone's we're talking about people on in any part of the political spectrum, but people on the left have actually talked themselves into believing this shit. It's really something else. Yeah, they just don't read the Atlantic. We got to airdrop some of those into South Africa to the ANC youth wing. And in the former Soviet Union, they should know this. It just happened 30 years ago. No, it's like they know that NATO doesn't stand for freedom and democracy and sovereignty and human rights, but it does stand for like ever-expanding Western imperialism and fascism and violence, and they like those things and they support it. All the people that we put back in charge in those former Soviet republics. I'm just taking a look at what else we can look at or talk about here. Everything's going great. You just need more NATO propaganda. That's right. Of course. You know what gets my vote? Ephemeral Friends just wants more deranged TikTok true crime, human trafficking, conspiracy shit. Of course. Bringing in the African Union as a neutral third party to negotiate peace is a good idea. Also would have a hint of historical irony with Africans determining the future borders of Europe in regards to Ukraine. For sure. And that's one example of why that will not fucking happen. It was really interesting a couple months ago when China was trying more to get involved as well. And you even had Zelensky signaling support for that. And then you had his like Western masters in NATO and wherever else being like, no, none of that. That's not going to be happening. No. Ice cream, so good. Hello, John. Oh. It is getting kind of hot up here. I'll tell you that much. Even in my tiny shorts. Even in my tiny shorts, it's becoming more and more difficult. Like, look at the way... Oh, God, I don't even know if I want to look at this. There's this clip from fucking Rachel Maddow from a couple weeks ago. Like, even just the title of it. We don't need to look at this video, but even the title of it. Putin's war on Ukraine backfires as NATO is set to expand again. Like, whose strategy really has backfired here? And I don't think it's even been a huge success for Russia. I think Russia has lost way more than they maybe initially thought they were going to. I don't want to speculate too much on that about what they planned for and what they didn't. You know, it's been pretty disastrous for Russia too, even though they've taken this territory and they don't seem to be in a position where they're ever going to give that up or lose it. So, but the idea, like, who's it backfired on? You know? Who is it really backfired on? Considering NATO made these explicit promises that with their support they were going to be able to block Russia from ever doing exactly what they have done. And their whole sanctions regime as well. They said, oh yeah, Russia's going to invade. Well, look at these. We're going to institute so many sanctions. So many sanctions. We're going to absolutely destroy and devastate the Russian economy. People are going to be so miserable that they're going to overthrow Putin and they're going to go back to the embrace of the West and institute a liberal democracy. That has not happened, though. And yeah, I'm sure their sanctions did hurt average working class people in Russia. And all Putin has to do is just correctly blame the West and blame NATO. And I think most people are going to go along with that. And because of these like increasing bilateral ties between Russia and the BRICS countries and the non-Western countries, they're able to come together and avoid the biggest economic consequences of these kind of sanctions. So who has backfired? Whose strategy has backfired here? You know? What did NATO say? If they're not going to invade, if they do, we're going to give you everything you need to repel the invasion, and we're going to come together and just destroy their economy. None of that shit has come true. They did invade. None of the NATO weapons and training were enough remotely to stop them from doing what they were trying to do. Their sanctions did nothing. Putin is just as powerful as ever, even though they had that little hiccup the other week with Wagner that people were trying to turn into like it was going to be this big coup, and that their fever dreams about some kind of Russian civil war were coming true. Obviously, that's not the case. And we're wondering as well if there's maybe even more to that, if it was some kind of a psyop, or there might be some kind of indication that something even worse is going to happen in the future. But like, nothing that they said was going to happen has happened. Did you know Rachel's family is Ukrainian? No, I did not know that. Same with Matt Duss, Bernie Sanders' foreign policy advisor guy. He's one of these Ukrainian diasporic nationalist guys as well. Kind of interesting, isn't it? So whose strategy has backfired, you know? Putin's war in Ukraine backfires because NATO is expanding to Swedo and oh God, Swedo. Oh no. Oh no. NATO is expanded to Sweden and Finland, and that's supposed to be. Oh yeah, the walls are closing in on Putin now. The walls are closing in. Then we've got Finland and Sweden now. Putin is totally fucked. Swedo. God damn it. God damn it, folks. Yeah, let's make life as miserable as possible for people so that they turn on their own leaders and we can take over, is what the good guys say. That's right. Yeah, let's just starve people as much as we can and deny them access to basic medical care or medicine or whatever until they're so desperate that they'll fucking kill themselves trying to overthrow the government. That's what the good guys do. That's the good guy strategy. It's a major historical development. Do you mean Finland and Sweden joining NATO? And yeah, like you could argue that it is definitely. But is it indication that this war has backfired for Putin? Like, I'm not so sure that it has. You're gonna make fun of my flubs, eh, folks? You're gonna make fun of my flubs? How much? This is a great question, Rex. How much propaganda do you have to look at the current state of Ukraine and think we got them right where we want them? Exactly. God. Go ahead and make fun of Rob's flub. The inseam just got 2 inches shorter. You have to admit, Swedo is pretty funny. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Yeah, and the sanctions on their largest energy supplier have sent Germany and the EU into recession. For sure. Like literally asking our allies in Western Europe and like France and Germany to like pass the costs of this onto the people that need to like heat their homes, so that you can just get a little head pat from the American State Department, which is just empowering the far right in all these places. I had a chatter telling us how Russia blew up the dam because they were about to retreat. Yeah, of course. Of course. The counteroffensive was just too intimidating. Just waiting for the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant false flag to pop off. It seems like that was like a couple weeks ago. They were really prepping for that. And it's kind of receded into the background a little bit. I love how we just have to wait for this other shoe to drop of like the thing that's going to happen. That really escalates this into like the fucking danger zone. That's fun. That's fun to do, right? Like you have Sky News from a few days ago.
Sky News understands that the Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, is considering leaving the cabinet and could potentially stand down as an MP at the next general election. Mr. Wallace, who has played a key role in responding to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, was recently overlooked for the role of NATO General Secretary. Now, for more on this, I'm joined here in the studio by Defence and Security Analyst Professor Michael Clark. Michael, the background to why he was overlooked is quite interesting.
For sure, there have been some points where it nearly did.
What does it mean for the UK's defence policy and positioning? Because he's a very experienced pair of hands.
Yes, he is. He's been in the Ministry of Defence for 8 years. He's held the fort at a very difficult time, taking a very tough line on Ukraine and on modernising British forces. But he's up against the Treasury at a time of economic stringency, and so he hasn't got what he needed. Got a 4-year financial settlement 2 years ago, and he won't get any more. And so if he feels his own political career is not going anywhere, and he's not going to be a NATO Secretary-General, which he isn't, then he may well feel that, OK, it's time to go and do something else.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable, isn't it? Let's shift our attention to Ukraine. The president of South Korea has arrived.
The like racist right-wing president of South Korea is there to really give some credibility to this. But this is the quote too: Putin's political credibility is draining away following the Wagner negotiations. Again, it's such cope, like everything we read about this. It's Putin's political credibility that's draining away, and not everyone else that's been involved in this, who has completely been wrong from moment one about everything that was going to happen in the Western military establishment. The only thing they've been right about is the fact that Russia was going to invade, and I think they were right about that by accident. I think they were just saying that, knowing that it was wrong, and then they were just as surprised as anyone when the shit actually happened. And they've been absolutely wrong about every other prediction since then. But it's everyone else's, it's the bad guy's credibility that's draining away here.
What's going on there? What's he doing?
No, there he is, yeah. President Yoon Suk-yeol, and he's been president since summer last year. And he was at Vilnius. He was at the NATO summit, because the NATO summit also included South Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. That's how important that summit has become in uniting the Western world and the G7. So he's in Europe, and he makes a visit. I understand he's been to Bucha and Irpin, as everyone does, as a sort of pilgrimage now, for any visitors to go to these places to see the evidence of war crimes. Very important to the Ukrainians. In the past, South Korea has said they will only give humanitarian,
but not an investigation, though. Haven't actually investigated those incidents.
Demining stuff. But actually, most of us believe they've been giving a lot of shells, 155mm artillery shells, which the Ukrainians really need. And this week, The Economist said that, what we've all believed, that they've been giving them shells, American shells, which would otherwise go to South Korea, because the Russians are firing off 40,000 shells a day. The Ukrainians are firing off about 15 to 20,000 shells a day. They desperately need them. And I think South Korea has played a bigger role for Ukraine than most people until this week.
Which is funny, too, because you have DPRK is supplying Russia as well. It's basically, it's not even a Western proxy war. It's a Korean proxy war.
Could have even been a coup.
The real puppet masters.
Advancing on Moscow. It was all fizzled out. And now we understand...
See the face he just did there? Yeah.
Leaders of Wagner. What is all this telling us about the power dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, Putin's political credibility is draining away. we know for certain now, in his own words, that he
it's his
people,
Jesus.
And 35 Wagner fighters in the Kremlin on the 29th of June, which was only 4 days after...
They're still holding on to this thing that maybe almost sort of happened.
And he didn't even get what he wanted out of them. And so Wagner is still in existence. They're still informed units in southern Ukraine. They're not fighting, because they withdrew from the fighting after Bakhmut to reorganize. They're carrying on reorganizing. Some of them have gone to Belarus. to Azipovici, which is this area in Belarus been set aside, but very few of them. Nobody quite knows what Wagner are going to do. Meanwhile, these people...
That seems to be the question of the day, doesn't it?
This man is Duamin, and he's on the left there, he's the governor of Tula, and he's a sort of pragmatist. A lot of people look to him as the sensible view. While Putin seems to be declining, people are looking to Duamin because he gets on with everybody. He has been in the security services, he has been in the military.
Yeah, not only is Putin's political credibility draining away, but he's also, he's got syphilis, he's insane, he has Alzheimer's, he has long COVID, physically as well. If you just look at all the Western coverage of this as just being like fantasy booking, you understand it a little bit more. It's all just stuff that we want to be true, and we're just going to say it over and over and over again, and hopefully that maybe eventually it's going to become true. In kind of like a Peter Pan situation, like the more we think about it, the more we say it. I believe. It just becomes real. That's basically what our entire Western propaganda machine is doing. He has every disease like Mr. Burns. That's right. He's walking around with the shoe boxes on his feet. Looking at Medvedev into the spruce moose. Sir, that's just a tiny model. I said hop in. It's called manifesting. That's right. Yeah. You know how lonely he's been. He has short COVID. He's 5'4". That's a good burn. That's a good burn. Reports are they're saying boo earns in the Kremlin. That's right. I would put that on like a Jimmy Fallon type thing. That kind of a joke. That was good. Short COVID. We do support our short kings though in this channel. I want to be very clear about that. I was saying Putin. Jesus. What else do we have to look at here? I really was not prepared for this stream today. I was not prepared in any way for this stream today. Our short kings and our short shorts support both of those things. Everyone's welcome here. These are really so short. Like they're just insanely short. I just looked down and I was like, oh yeah, look at that. You kind of forget for a little while.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Hey, hello, Majority Report. Welcome. Thank you for the raid, Majority Report. How was the stream today? Sam Sater, what a fucking nightmare. I gotta hide. Sam Sater's so scary. I gotta hide. Thank you, Majority Report, for the raid. Hey, please hit the follow button. I just want to check one thing. Can you just quickly hit the follow button? Real quick. I'm just trying to do something.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
So I was dodging Sam Sater. Thank you very much for the Prime sub, Uncle Ho Chi Minh. What a great username as well. I saw you followed a few moments ago. Happy to get the Uncle Ho Chi Minh Prime sub as well. Can we actually see some Uncle Ho's in the chat? We still have that, right? Or did that one, did we lose that one? Oh yeah, we still got Uncle Ho. Look at that. We got Uncle Ho. Some of the very best tiny images on this whole platform, folks. We don't talk enough about the quality of the tiny images here. And again, if you want to subscribe to the channel, like Uncle Ho Chi Minh just did, not only can you support the content that I make here on twitch.tv and support TRRS and this wonderful community, you also get some of the very, very best tiny images on the entire platform of Twitch. Doesn't that sound nice? Doesn't that sound like a program you want to subscribe to? And again, if there's any generous sub-gifters out there that want to gift a few subs right now, great time to do it when we have a bunch of new viewers and non-sub people and lurkers. Great time to gift subs if that was something that you were interested in at all. If that was something you're interested in, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that that could be cool. And that's all. I'm just saying.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Diego, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. I really appreciate all the support from our friend Diego, aka Comrade Social Distancing. Thank you, Diego. Very important. Have you seen this? Oh God, this looks absolutely painful to look at. Why are you making me look at this? I guess now I'm making you look at it, so it's not the same thing. Ugh. You can't even, this is such a shit platform, you can't rewind or anything.
Hi, I'm Sean. During the day, I'm a CEO. At night, I'm an undiscovered rock star.
Why are we looking at this? Damn you, Bleep Lord. Bleep Lord! Thank you, Red Maize, for the gifted sub. Thank you for that. That's just brutal. Horrible. You know, we've got... I just don't think I have enough time. I have about another 45 minutes left to stream. There's a whole video on the Geopolitical Economy Report about this whole idea about colonialism or sovereignty. This whole idea of sovereignty. You know, we were talking about in the context of like Ukraine or Taiwan, and the idea that like sovereignty is kind of used as a buzzword to sort of galvanize support for like NATO or sending arms to these places, but how neither Ukraine or Taiwan are sovereign or democratic places, and how the Western imperialists just want these places to be proxy states or vassal states for them, where they can supply cheap labor and get cheap resources, and while stripping away all labor protections or social safety net or whatever existing infrastructure that's in place. And there's a whole video on Geopolitical Economy Report about this concept, but it's an hour long. I only have about another 45 minutes. I feel like it would be pretty ambitious to try and do that. Provide sovereignty as a service. It's so fucking mob boss. Like we've talked a lot of the time how like the rules-based international order, like the Western countries, whatever you want to call this kind of group of countries, the G7, whatever it is, you know, how it operates like organized crime. Like it's like you've got America's the global mob boss. You got like Canada and Australia and the UK and these Western European countries as like its lackeys, or Joey Knuckles or whatever, those guys. And it's the same thing. It's like, yeah, it's a nice country you got. It'd be a damn shame if anything would happen to it. We want you to be nice and sovereign over here. Oh. It's like really it's that kind of a thing, right? It's the exact same strategy. It's just like, yeah, we're gonna protect you. We're going to protect you with our NATO bases and arms transfers. Oy, oh. You know? It's literally the exact same dynamic. Be a damn shame if anything happens to your stockpile of weapons. Yeah, we're not even Christopher Maltesanti. We're not even Christopher. We're one of the even more pathetic ones. I'm going to ask you a favor and you can't say no. That's right. That's pretty much what this dynamic is. Looks like I tuned into Mafia talk. Well, kinda. I mean, if you're talking about the rules-based international order, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about a global, international criminal cartel, right? And all these very powerful capitalist institutions are at the head of it. But in terms of the actual states, you got America being the mob boss, and then a bunch of lackeys. It is just organized crime all the way down, and then the organized criminals are used to perpetuate the same interests, like the actual Cosa Nostra guys. Look at Cuba and their role there, or their role in like organized labor after the left was totally purged. Be a damn shame if Nord Stream 2 just stopped working. My country is such a servile, vassal state. We helped the American NSA spy on Angela Merkel and other European leaders, and when it was discovered, absolutely nothing happened because no one dares stand against the USA. They were just doing that to protect everybody, okay? So they're allowed. They're allowed to do it. Parenti has a great lecture on that when he talks about the JFK assassination and the gangster state. Probably something we should do another time. In Hollywood, IATSE was the mob-backed union that was used to beat up and ending the progressive union. Yeah, it's like all this organized crime took over all these unions when they were purged of like actual leftists and socialists. Yeah, during the Red Scare, for sure. And you saw like in all these former socialist republics, like that's in the republics, right? These former socialist republics, you see it in like the domestic level with organized crime taking over organized labor in the West, and then you have like in all these former socialist republics, these organized criminals filling up that power vacuum when socialism was overthrown in all these places, which led to an increase in crime and despair and trafficking and all those things. Like those very people were put in power to like oversee these former republics. Think there's any organized crime going on in Ukraine? Maybe a little bit. Or Russia as well, which also exploded after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Many such cases. Because I'm just looking what I can look at to like kind of finish off the day here.
the current Secretary of the Treasury,
Let's look at
Janet
this.
Yellen, admitted the same thing in an interview recently with Fareed Zakaria on CNN. She also admitted the fact that by imposing sanctions on so many countries, it's pressuring other countries around the world to seek financial alternatives to the US dollar and alternatives to US dominated financial institutions, like, for instance, the SWIFT interbank messaging system. China and Russia have both developed alternatives to the SWIFT interbank messaging system. And there was an economist who spoke in this hearing.
Two friends of the show.
Written a book about this. It's called Bucking the Buck. And he said in this hearing,
Hello, Zach. What's up?
The U.S. really
Two
needs
former
to
guests
be
of the
more
show.
Careful and impose fewer sanctions, because basically the U.S. is accelerating de-dollarization by imposing sanctions.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rania Kalik, and this is Dispatches. The U.S. is escalating a bipartisan Cold War, one that supports.
I'm just going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, folks.
Endless proxy wars, and gutting what's left of the welfare state. However, there's a split in the ruling class on how best to guarantee the hegemony of U.S. empire. At first glance, this split might look deep. On one side are the far-right America Firsters, led by people like Trump, who claim to want out of Ukraine. But that's only because they want to divert the country's Cold War resources solely toward what they see as the ultimate enemy, China. And then there are the neocons and liberals who want to take on Russia and China at the same time. Both are committed to U.S. empire. Both are proponents of recruiting India for this new Cold War in an effort to divide BRICS and isolate China and Russia. Both believe in sanctions. Both supported a coup in Venezuela, which Trump, who's tried to fashion himself as anti-war on occasion, recently admitted to. Both are willing to go to extreme lengths to uphold dollar hegemony. And both are proponents of sacrificing Europe for U.S. interests. In other words, both are committed imperialists with the same agenda, just a different pathway for how to get there. Here to discuss how to navigate it all as the U.S. empire gets desperate to maintain itself in an increasingly multipolar world is Ben Norton, a Latin America-based journalist and founder of the Geopolitical Economy Report. But before we jump into it, this is just the first half of this episode. The second half is available for Breakthrough News members only. You can become a member at patreon.com/breakthrough news. And as always, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get a notification whenever we post new content. And if you appreciate this show, you can also donate below on YouTube. Ben, welcome back to the show.
It's always a real pleasure, Rania. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. We always have such a great discussion, and the audience loves you because you rock. So let's just jump right on into it. There's so many important issues that you've been covering related to escalating Cold War tensions with the U.S. against Russia and China, as well as some recent things with Trump admitting to attempting a coup in Venezuela. You've written about the recent visit between Biden and Modi regarding India, and you kind of did an in-depth thing there about the U.S. pushing it back against dollar hegemony, and on. You've been doing such excellent coverage at your outlet, inflation in Europe. So I want to get to all of these different topics, but something I really want to start with, which I don't think received the attention it deserved, although you did cover it, was something that Trump recently said, and that is that earlier in June, he was talking about Venezuela, and he basically admitted to the fact that we were there. He was there. His administration wanted to go there, take over, and literally take.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this
real quick before I get your take on it. But here it is.
Venezuela. How about
Kate Chewy, thank you very much. 4 months of Prime from Kate Chewy. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. And once again, folks, if you want to subscribe, I'm just going to keep reminding you. Okay? I'm going to be here for about another 25, 30 minutes. If you want to subscribe, please do. It really helps me. It supports the channel. I'm not going to be around next week, remember? So every little bit helps. Can't tell you how much it helps, and I appreciate it a lot. Thank you, Kate Chewy. And if anyone else wants to support TRRS, please subscribe. $5 per month, totally free of charge with an Amazon Prime account. Gift subs or friend coin or tip or subscribe on Patreon, whatever you want to do. Every little bit helps support the work that I do here, and it makes me love you, and makes us friends as well. And it's real. So if you can, folks, please subscribe.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through
Thank
all
you,
this.
Gen X Bushy. Thank you, Gen X Bushy, for the gifted sub as well. Always very, very much appreciate all the support from Gen X Bushy. Thank you. It would be sweeto. It would be really sweeto if people subscribe to this channel. It sure would.
We're buying oil from Venezuela. When I left, Venezuela
Yes.
was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right.
By the way, I always like that shirt when you wear it. I think
You're gonna have
I
good
like
old
that
Rob
shirt.
to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Sean. I like the shirt as well. I think it's a little small to button up. It's unfortunately a little small to button up. I got a whole lot of man here you're looking at, but I like the shirt as well. Jake Hager is, I like this shirt. Thank you. And thank you, Hey Antonia, for the 19 months of Tier 1. Thank you, Antonia, for that. Very much appreciated. It's got to grow the shirt. That's right. That's what I got to do.
And that's Maduro's response, which you can go to the Breakthrough News Twitter.
Maduro's response is so great.
Instagram page to go check out. I do love that Maduro responded that this basically like confirms everything that they had been saying. But the reason I raise that is for a couple things. First of all, I mean, one theme that I do want to talk about is how much all of this is quite bipartisan when it comes to the way the U.S. acts around the world and all of the, whether we're talking about regime change in Venezuela or this escalating Cold War against Russia and China. But I wanted to raise this specifically because Trump also does like to fashion himself as this kind of anti-war warrior. And so do his.
And people still believe this, amazingly.
We're talking about people like Josh Hawley or Marjorie Taylor Greene. But this kind of proves the opposite. So I just kind of wanted to get your take on that statement he made, because that's something that you also were covering as it was happening. You visited Venezuela quite a few times, as well as that sort of aspect of it where, okay, clearly this guy is not anti-war, and that's like a BS statement.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, a few things to say. First of all, the people who did report on this statement from Trump, and there were a few, and they deserve credit. Also, I think a lot of them kind of misunderstood what he said. He didn't just say that we would get Venezuela's oil. He said we would take over Venezuela. If you listen closely to what he said, we would take over the country and have access to all that oil. So, I mean, this is even worse than the way it was reported by many people. It wasn't just about oil. It was about colonizing Venezuela. The narrative that we were fed when the coup attempt started in 2019 was that Juan Guaido, this little-known right-wing politician, just simply decided to go out in public in Caracas.
So many of our social democrat and anarchist and liberal friends failed to call that what it was, with both Venezuela and Bolivia, failed to correctly assess what's going on. This is what happens when you have dialectical materialism. You can understand when a coup is going on, and you don't have to go through this fucking game like these people do every single time. Well, let's wait till all the facts come out. Let's wait till the facts come out. You know, Maduro, I can't be seen supporting that. That's distasteful for me. That's bad for my career prospects. So, of course, we got to listen to the Venezuelan people. They're yearning for freedom, folks. They're yearning for freedom. We must listen to them. Or the stuff with Evo Morales. Oh, that's not a coup. No. Don't worry. That's not a coup. It's not like I support imperialism or anything, but clearly it's not a coup because he's being authoritarian. He's talking about term limits and stuff. That's no good. That's no bueno. You know? And they miss this shit every time. They're wrong every time. And again, if you have this basic understanding of historical and dialectical materialism, you're like, okay, yeah, that's definitely a coup. That is definitely a coup. And people call you a tanky conspiracy theorist, and then lo and behold, your wild-eyed tanky conspiracy theories ultimately get proven correct. The bad part is that you get no credit for it. I should say that. That's the kind of Kafkaesque situation it is when you embrace dialectical materialism. You're right more often than not. You have a correct analysis of geopolitical events, and you can understand things that are going to happen in the future and like you have a correct, better understanding of things that happened in the past. No one gives you credit for this, and they still do continue to call you a wacky conspiracy theorist, regardless of being right. I should mention that. You know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You get to be right all the time, but everything still sucks, and no one actually gives you credit for it. That's kind of the dichotomy you got to deal with. Yeah, it's the Cassandra curse. That's right. You should get their subs. I agree, Dakadoon. I agree. Let's hear out these heavily armed soldiers with Bibles and guns beating natives that wanted Morales again. Exactly. We got to hear from both sides. We got to hear from both sides, okay? The last thing you want to do is be partisan in a moment like that. Anyway, let's continue this.
Us and announce that he's interim president, and then the U.S. just recognized this plucky Venezuelan politician as the interim president of the country. No. Trump was saying very clearly that we were trying to install our puppets in Venezuela to take over the country.
It's why I do appreciate Trump. He's a shitty person, but he's open and honest about these things.
Of course, this was also admitted in another revealing...
Or will the fascists still be able to have their newspapers? And their radio programs? Exactly. That's why we love that speech so much, because it articulates something that's still going on to this day. We're still dealing with these very people. They're more concerned about the civil liberties of the fascists that were raping and murdering and dumping and destroying before. Whether you're talking about Cuba or Venezuela or Bolivia or Nicaragua or any other country. Or DPRK or China. Yeah, but that's it. That's why I do admire Trump, even though Trump is a reactionary. He is an imperialist. He's a horrible person. But you know what? He's at least honest about these things. Like I've said repeatedly, he doesn't couch the imperialism in this bullshit rhetoric about progressivism and human rights and democracy and sovereignty. He just speaks the naked truth of it. And that's why they hate him so much. He admitted to the oil in Syria as well. Like he's very honest about these things. Horrible person. Detestable person. But that's why they hate him. Not because he's mean or whatever. Not because he's a rapist. Not because he's a fucking scumbag, con man, business fail son. It's because he speaks the open and honest truth about the violence and exploitation inherent to imperialism, and they can't have that. You're supposed to be able to duck and dodge and avoid all those accusations by talking about human rights and democracy, and he fails to do any of that stuff. That's why they really can't stand him.
Quote from Trump's national security advisor, John Bolton, in an interview that he did on CNN with Jake Tapper, where Trump
hires Elliot Abrams to be point man in Venezuela, and then Biden, just to show how bipartisan that is, this fucking talk about genocide deniers. People call me genocide denier because I ask questions about human rights accusations coming from think tanks funded by the American government or fucking Raytheon or wherever. People call me a genocide denier. But then you bring on someone like Elliot Abrams into your administration, who literally did help criminally cover up actual genocide. And that's not just a Trump thing. Biden, too. It makes it totally bipartisan. You see how the foreign policy and imperialism, it's completely bipartisan. It's just entirely the rhetoric is the only thing that's different about it.
Boasted of the experience.
You got to vote blue, though. You got to vote blue because they won't do all the bad stuff.
And he said that, it's very difficult to organize coups. And then Jake Tapper says, well, where's an example? And then he names Venezuela. So, this is just more evidence showing that it was a coup attempt. But the narrative that Trump in any way was anti-war is completely absurd. First of all,
I think we may have seen that, Uncle Ho Chi Minh.
Was a war. It wasn't a conventional war, but it was absolutely a war. It was an economic war. It was an information war. There was cyber war, attacks on Venezuelan civilian infrastructure.
And in 2018, 2019 too, there was the exact kind of color revolution situation that they were trying to kick off elsewhere as well. There was big marches and protests, and there was all kinds of SOS Venezuela, listen to the Venezuelans, all the exact same shit. Which was supposed to culminate in the Guaido coronation, but which ended up totally falling on its fucking face.
Conventional war, including an attempted invasion known as Bay of Piglets in May 2020. There was an attempted invasion of Venezuela, including 2 former Green Berets who right now are prisoners in Venezuela for trying to invade the country.
And with good cause.
So, and we know we have lots of evidence pointing to Trump being involved in the invasion. There were reports of Jordan Goudreau, the mercenary who oversaw the operation, said that he met at Mar-a-Lago with top Trump officials who gave the approval. One of the Colombian plotters who was involved said the CIA was involved as well. So, I mean, there was every kind of war that you can imagine, excluding U.S. troops on the ground, basically. Although, again, there were 2 former U.S. troops on the ground. But, I mean, obviously, as you know, Rania, it's not even just Venezuela. I mean, look at Trump's foreign policy record. He murdered the top Iranian official, Qasem Soleimani, and the top Iraqi general, Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis. And al-Muhandis had played a key role in helping to defeat ISIS, along with
and Soleimani
Iran,
as well.
along with Qasem Soleimani. So Trump murdered the top Iraqi general and the top Iranian general who helped defeat ISIS. Then Trump expanded the war in Yemen. And China helped to end the war in Yemen, not Biden. It was China. Trump did not end the war in Afghanistan. For all of the many legitimate criticisms of Biden, it was Biden that ended the war in Afghanistan after 20 years. Trump continued militarily occupying Syria, and he boasted in an interview on Fox News, "We're taking the oil. We have the oil. We have seized the oil." He said it like 15 times. He just repeated himself. I have troops in Syria that are taking the oil. So at every single stage you can look, Trump did not, people say that Trump didn't start a new war, but again, that misunderstands that we're living in an era where most US wars are not direct conventional military wars. They're unconventional hybrid wars. In that case, Trump waged many wars against Venezuela, against Iran. Trump oversaw what was called a maximum pressure campaign, and it's been reported by Yahoo News that Trump personally oversaw the approval of kinetic operations by the Pentagon. That is to say, attacks on Iranian infrastructure. And it was referred to as a shadow war. That's the language that the Yahoo News used, this shadow war. And you probably remember, Rania, in Iran and other parts of West Asia, there were a series of strange attacks on infrastructure. And it was never really revealed who it was, but it was very likely either the US or Israel. And we have evidence that Trump approved those kinds of kinetic attacks on infrastructure across West Asia, especially targeting Iran and its allies. So,
I mean, the idea that people are still holding on to this idea that Trump is some kind of like anti-war figure, anti-imperialist, is just absolutely laughable. You know, again, I can talk about the things I do appreciate about Trump being, open and honest about the violence and the theft and exploitation that's inherent to imperialism. But the people that still are holding on to this idea that he's some kind of anti-war figure because he's made some kind of cursory statement about NATO or whatever is just absolutely silly. And the same thing with Robert Kennedy Jr. right now. You know, people really think this fucking Zionist, this like dyed-in-the-wool, unmitigated, unapologetic support for Israel guy is going to go in there and like abolish the CIA. This guy that's being like backed by all this dark right-wing money and all these fucked up tech billionaire libertarians. Yeah, this guy's really going to go in there and like do something to pull back Western imperialism. Like, it's just a fucking joke, this idea. It's a total joke, folks. It's a total joke. So I'm going to be here for another 10 minutes, folks. I can't watch this whole video. I don't have enough time for this. I got to go in 10 minutes. We're 14 subs away from the goal today, folks. So I will just say one more time. I've really been banging you on the head with a stick about this today. This is me. Chat, subscribe. Subscribe. I'll remind you one more time. We're 14 subs away. Don't make me bonk you again. Don't make me bonk you again. Huh? We got 234 viewers right now. Is there 14 brave heroes right now that for a measly $5, can support this channel and support the work that I do here on Twitch?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Vegan for the memes. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. 3 months in advance. We love that. Thank you so much, Vegan for the memes. Brand new community member. We love it. For the price of a cup of coffee. Don't make me bonk you. Okay? I don't want to have to do it. Are there any other people that want to subscribe to this channel, though? What do you think about that? I don't want to have to be doing this, okay? I don't want to have to be doing this. He's completely out of control. I know, it's getting crazy. I don't want to have to be doing this, folks. Is that a back scratcher? Yes, it is. Some people are into this, I imagine so. Well, if you are into it, then you can subscribe and we can do it some more at another time. Seems a bit like you do. We're 13 away. We're 13 subs away, folks. I wish I didn't have to keep doing this every fucking time. It drives me crazy. We're 13 away. Don't make me continue to do this.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Bleep Lord. Thank you for the gifted sub, Bleep Lord. I appreciate it. You can do this the easy way or the fun way. Don't make me continue to do this, folks. You think I like this?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Rylan. Paying forward the gift sub for Rylan. I really appreciate that, Rylan. Thank you for that. What is even the number at now? I don't even know. I don't even know. I can do this all day. Well, actually, I can't. I can only do it for 7 more minutes. I can only do it for 7 more minutes. I can't even do it all day. Does anyone else want to subscribe to this channel? If you subscribe, the punishment stops. Right now you're in punishment, chat. You're in punishment. And there's a way out of this. And in fact, one brave chatter could get us almost to the sub goal and trigger the extremely cool and elite 10 gifted sub alert featuring friend of the show, VJ Prashad. Which again is not, I know it's unlikely. I know it's unlikely. I don't want to tell you what to do, but I'm just saying that is something that could possibly happen. if I could, I would have subscribed to Rob Bama a third time. Who else? Who's going to step up here? Gonna have to replace the knife in this emote with the back scratcher. There could be a totally separate one. You sub or it gets the hose again. Thank you. I'll do it. Don't make me do this again.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Dynamic Nibbles, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Brand new community member, thank you, Dynamic Nibbles. I really appreciate that. I'm glad someone finds this amusing, Rylan. You scratch my back and I'll not hit you with the back scratcher. That's how that famous saying goes. You can do this the easy way or the hard way.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
You can get whacked.
No hose, please.
You can get whacked with the back scratcher, or you can get a nice little scratchy. You can get a nice little scratchy as well. If we meet the sub goal. Thank you, Donnie Durr, for the 13 months of Prime. Thank you for that. We're close, folks. 2 generous chatters. 2 generous chatters could end the punishment. I know I'm very intimidating. Everyone's very intimidated by me right now. This does not work as well as the NPC bit. It's kind of working a little bit. It's not working. I'm unironically getting itchy because of the power of suggestion. Wouldn't this seem nice? Just a little. And I can do that. I can provide folks with that service if they respond the right way. This is the question. We got 9 more subs to go, folks, and we have a hype train going on. 9 subs is like nothing at all. It's not working as the stream motto. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I'll do it again. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? Did Biden ever return U.S.-Cuban relations to pre-Trump levels, or did he forget to do that just like he forgot to reverse the Trump pro-pollution policies? No, and in fact, they launched that whole like SOS Cuba operation like while under Biden. So no, they've continued the exact same anti-Cuban policies. Mac at work likes this. This must be funny for audio only, gang. I think Mac at work might be a little bit too into this, actually. We're at 26, folks. Oh, it's actually quite satisfying. Who else is going to step to the plate here? And then this can stop. No music or anything, just quiet. And Rob occasionally going, "You like this soft punk." I'll do it again. I know people think I'm like Mr. Nice Guy or whatever. I will do it again. Who else wants to subscribe to make this stop? Canadians aren't so nice after all. That's what I've been saying.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Spell check. Thank you very much for the 16 months of Tier 1. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, spell check. I can't even read the chat. I'm crying in laughter. I'm happy this is working on some level, you know. I'm happy it is. Thank you, spell check, for that. We got 45 seconds left in this hype train, folks. What is that? 8 to go. 8 subs to go. And then the pain stops. The bonkings will continue until the subs improve. I know this hurts. If it was like coming out of my arm.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Vegan for the memes. Thank you very much for the gifted sub. I really appreciate the subscription and the gifted sub. Thank you very, very much, Vegan, for the memes. Very, very kind of you. I love that these subs are trickling in. On some level, I think the problem is that people like this too much. People are too into this, so they don't want to subscribe because they want it to continue. They want it to continue. The sick freaks in this chat. The sickos. Okay, you gotta get one more. I'm sorry, but you gotta get one more. We did okay. And again, I appreciate everyone that supports this channel. I really do. At the same time, though, you wanted this. You wanted this. Okay, don't put this on me. Don't put this on me. Drama politics is boring. Bring back badass, big titty, goth girl, hot tub streamers. Okay, I mean that's a take. Boof pack Bobby. And I've talked before about the requisite that's going to get me into the hot tub, and we're not there yet. Let me just say that. Points were made, though. Yeah. How do we get you there? We got to get into the 4 digits. We got to get into the 4 digits, which is not. We're still a ways away. One day, though, I'm going to keep working on this stream and building this community. Maybe one day we're going to get there. That's going to be a lot of bonking. You better believe it. You wanted this. Okay? Don't put this on me. I wanted to be Mr. Nice Guy. I just wanted to talk about the news. I just wanted to talk about the news and geopolitics and put out a analysis that speaks to people, that deprograms people from Western propaganda. You pushed me to this. You pushed me to this. You did. Okay? I didn't want this. There's moments when I'm like doing this stream and I just take a moment to sort of like, I kind of dissociate and I look at the screen and I see what I'm doing and I'm just kind of like, what is this? What is this? Is this Findom? I mean, it's not that. I'll tell you that much. It's not Findom. Oh, shit.
Myself. But chat gets pleasure from seeing me hurt. So chat are the sadists. I'm not the masochist because I'm not enjoying this. This is the difference. We let you think you're.
Thanks for watching, folks. Thank you for watching the stream. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Even if I don't act like it sometimes, I'm just doing a bit. I do appreciate you. And I appreciate everyone that supported this channel. Today and every other day. Thank you for watching the stream. I do appreciate you, Red Wizard. I do. I will be back tomorrow. Okay? I hope you have a nice evening. So psyched to get my new TRRS shirt. Was that the Rousseau Institute shirt you got? Great shirt. You made me do this.